Baz is on the show now. Big Man United fan. What are you saying, Bazza?
Hey Terry, long time no talk. How's it going with you?
Yeah,
Good.
I'm good, my friend. I'm good. What's on your mind?
Yeah. So I wanted to just see what you think about this. Now, obviously, I think the De Jong deal is a good value deal. I really do think that. I think obviously a player like him who is in good form would go for well over 100 billion in a normal market, a normal situation. So I think he's going to have to come into a reality that Barca doesn't want him anymore, and they're playing the game now. And he's got a. I think the whole argument about the dream that he lives in Barcelona, his dream's over effectively there. So I think once he realizes that, he's going to probably get more warmed up to the idea of coming to United, hopefully. But I wanted to ask you about this. Outside of that, I still am struggling to see what our transfer plan is this summer. And I'm concerned that although I do trust Eric Ten Hag and want to give him the keys to the kingdom, and he's come from a proper club that runs properly, but he's done that with people who know what they're doing. And I'm just not convinced that we have anybody at the club that knows what they're doing when it comes to making a transfer plan.
So it's a good question. It's a very good question, and I would kind of answer it in this way. We've got Andy O'Boyle that's come in, very credible within the industry. You've got John Myrtle and Darren Fletcher that I know everybody is like umming and ahhing about, and I get that. Eric Ten Hag's come in with a brilliant CV and a brilliant track record, and people really trust him across the continent. The difference this season is that we're now being told and promised publicly that it's those football people that will be making the plans and the decisions as a collective, as opposed to Judge and Woodward essentially having the overarching say. People like Woodward saying no to scouts, no to the whoever the sort of the quote unquote director of football was, even though they didn't have that title that were doing that role, no to the managers. You had Ed Woodward telling LVG and Jose Mourinho that their view of a player was wrong and his was better. That's where the strategy is changing. Now, I'm not sitting here and saying Man United have made the changes. We're back. We're going to be flying. I'm going to wait to see the proof. The proof's in the pudding always. I want to see what we yield from this labor. But that's where the difference is. We're being told now, and it feels like footballing people are making those footballing decisions. We haven't had that for 9 years. Before Fergie retired, it was Fergie and David Gill. Now, David Gill wasn't a football man in the sense of he wasn't an ex-player that become a guy that run a football club, but he worked alongside Fergie, and Fergie essentially was the manager. He was a director of football, and him and David Gill run everything. And it was football, and Fergie listened to his scouts and he listened to his assistant managers. He listened to football people and invariably got the decisions right. We went away from that for a decade. So the plan is very, very simple. It's let people with football knowledge make footballing decisions. And the hope is that these football decisions are right and we have a good summer, the players improve us and we get better as a team. Because what I would like over the next 2 years, not only to improve on the football pitch, not only to become competitive, not only to work back towards challenging for big titles, I want us to get away from focusing on the way we're run. That's how you know you're well run, when you're not thinking about it. Does that make sense? And
100%, because we never thought about United being run even when the Glazers came in, we never thought about that because obviously we're being well run for such a long time, and it took a while for us to start realizing, wait a second, why didn't we replace Ronaldo? Why didn't we do this? And by the time Fergie was gone, it was pretty obvious, right? But I agree with you. I think that sounds right, where it's not going to be best in class, which I still believe it should be, but are working towards being best in class, but it's going to be something better than what we've been doing, I think.
Yeah, and I think what's important, and I said this to Gooners in the season when they were like, oh, wow, we've really, really improved. We may get better, but the Man United fans, do not take your foot metaphorically off the neck of the Glazers, and let's continue this. One good summer, one good season, 2 good summers, 2 good seasons is not enough with the amount of money we spend. People often say that my expectations are too high. until we stop spending one of the highest amounts of money in the world, I'm not lowering my expectations. If we were spending the same level as Brighton, I would lower my expectations, but we don't. We've outspent Man City in the last 5 years across all metrics of spending. So, of course, my ambition has got to be very, very high because they're hemorrhaging a lot of money. Listen, Matty, top man for coming. Baz, sorry. Thank you for coming on, mate, and having your say.
Thanks, Tyler.
Really appreciate it, bro. Thank you
Cheers,
very
man.
much indeed. And this, I know there's a lot of you backstage. I am at the end of the stream.